Okay, let's unpack this. Have you ever found yourself maybe walking through a forest, after a storm or something, and you see this massive fallen tree,
Oh, yeah, definitely.
and you look at it maybe year after year, and it's slowly, slowly returning to the earth, but you kind of think, why is that taking so long?
Right. It feels like it should just vanish
Yeah,
faster.
exactly. It feels like it should just turn back into dirt, but it certainly doesn't happen overnight, not even in a year, really.
Mm-hmm.
There's this uh, incredible, almost frustrating paradox sometimes. Some reactions are like profoundly favorable. They inherently want to happen, thermodynamically speaking. They're pushing towards a more stable state, lower energy,
Yeah, that's the drive.
but they proceed at this painfully, almost impossibly slow pace.
It's a great observation.
So it's an intriguing puzzle, right?
Mhm.
And our mission for this deep dive is really to unravel that mystery.
Oh.
We're going to explore the fascinating truth about why some reactions take, well, forever, while others are blink and you miss it fast. We'll uncover that invisible barrier standing in their way, dive into what scientists call the rates of reactions,
Yep, reaction kinetics.
and ultimately discover the hidden force that dictates their speed and, crucially, how life itself has masterfully learned to harness it.
What's truly fascinating here, and it's often a source of confusion, is that we tend to mix up favorable with fast.
Ah, right. That makes sense.
We just assume, kind of intuitively, that if something is energetically preferred, it should just happen quickly.
Yeah.
But a reaction might be thermodynamically favorable, meaning, like you said, it has the potential to eventually get to a state of lowest possible energy, highest disorder.
Uh-huh.
But that's fundamental truth. It tells us absolutely nothing about the actual rate, the speed at which it'll proceed.
Okay, so potential versus actual speed.
Exactly. It's a critical distinction, often overlooked, but it governs everything from geology right down to biology.
So tell us a bit more about that favorable part.
Well, to give you a bit more context, when we talk about a reaction being favorable, we're often talking about its Gibbs-free energy change. You might see it written as del G, delta G.
Right, I've seen that.
So a negative del G. That means a spontaneous or favorable reaction. It releases energy and usually increases entropy, creates more disorder, maybe releases heat.
Okay. Negative is go.
Negative is go, eventually. Conversely, a positive G means it's unfavorable. It needs energy put in to proceed.
Got it.
But here's the kicker, and it's really worth repeating. Del G gives you zero information about how fast it's going to happen.
None at all.
Nope. It's purely about the destination, energetically speaking, the final state. It says nothing about the journey time or, how many bumps are in the road along the way.
Okay.
Think of it like a ball perched right at the top of a hill. Gravity makes rolling down totally favorable, right?
Sure.
But if there's a little bum or maybe a sticky patch right there at the summit, it might just sit there for a very, very long time unless it gets an extra nudge.
That's a great analogy. The ball needing a nudge. So let's go back to our decaying tree then.
Okay.
It's a prime example, you said, of a thermodynamically favorable reaction. It's releasing energy, breaking down complex stuff into simpler stuff.
Increasing disorder, entropy, all that good stuff.
So if it's so energetically favorable, if all those molecules will eventually react until they reach that absolute lowest energy state, why does it take years, decades even, for a big trunk?
Yeah, what's the holdup?
What's actually holding it back at that fundamental molecular level? What stops it from just, poof, disappearing?
This really gets to the heart of it. And the answer lies in this incredibly intricate, microscopic dance of molecules.
Not a dance, okay.
Yeah, because for any chemical reaction to happen, it's not enough for the reactants just to be hanging out in the same area. First, they have to physically collide, bump into each other.
Makes sense.
But, and this is key, not just any old collision will do, they have to contact each other in precisely the proper orientation.
Orientation matters.
Oh, absolutely. Think of trying to open a really complex lock with a specific key. The angles, the alignment, how deep you push it in, everything has to be just right for the tumblers to click.
Oh, okay. I get that.
On a molecular level, it's about specific electron clouds aligning, the right atoms facing each other. It's very specific.
Wow. Okay, so perfect alignment. Is that it?
Not quite. Even with perfect alignment, that's not the whole story. Those molecules also need to collide with sufficient kinetic energy, basically, enough force
Force? Why force?
to overcome what we call unstable intermediates. These are temporary, very high energy configurations that molecules have to sort of squeeze through on their journey from being reactants to becoming products.
Unstable intermediates.
Yeah.
Like a transition point.
Exactly. Think of them as this tiny, precarious balancing act right at the very peak of a steep, energetic hill. Molecules briefly hit this high-energy, unstable state, the transition state, right at the tipping point, before they can finally roll down into their more stable product form. It's this fleeting, high-energy moment, often involving strained bonds.
Okay, so it's like pushing the ball over that little bump at the top.
Precisely. And for complex molecules, this whole process isn't usually one big sudden transformation. It's often a series of tiny, precise steps, maybe happening one bond at a time.
One bond at a time.
Wow.
Each step needing that perfect alignment and sufficient impact. So yeah, that's why just being favorable isn't nearly enough. You need all these molecular stars to align, so to speak.
Okay, so it's not just about the desire to react thermodynamically. It's about this perfect molecular choreography, hitting just right and with enough of that critical oomph to get over that energetic hump.
That's a great way to put it. Oomph.
This oomph feels really central. What's its proper name in chemistry, and how does it actually, work at the molecular level? You've described it perfectly. That oomph has a very specific and crucial name: activation energy.
Activation energy, okay.
It's essentially the amount of heat energy needed to produce enough random thermal motion within the system.
Right, molecules bouncing around.
Exactly,
Yeah.
which in turn leads to a higher probability of molecules not only colliding, but colliding just correct orientation, enough force to overcome those unstable intermediate stages we just talked about.
So it's the energy cost to get the reaction started.
Precisely. It's the energy needed to temporarily strain or distort the existing bonds, or maybe just bring the atoms into the right proximity and orientation, allowing them to pass through that high energy transition state so the new bonds can form and the reaction can actually proceed.
So it really is like a barrier, a hill.
Think of it quite literally as a barrier or hill, yeah. The reactants have to climb it before they can tumble down into their lower energy product state. The reaction is definitely favorable. It wants to go downhill.
But it needs that push.
It still needs that initial push, that activation energy, to get over the hump first. Without enough activation energy available, even a highly favorable reaction can effectively be stuck, maybe for an incredibly long time, like our tree.
That makes perfect sense now. So F activation energy is this hill, this barrier.
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean we can, change the height of the hill?
Interesting question.
Or maybe give the molecules a massive push to get over it faster? Is it actually possible to significantly change the rate of a reaction?
Yes, absolutely.
And building on that,
Yeah.
let's take a dramatic detour with our decaying tree again. It's just sitting there, slowly decomposing, fighting that activation energy barrier.
Mm-hmm. Battling the hill.
But what happens if, bam, a bolt of lightning strikes that exact same decaying tree?
Right. Big energy input.
Suddenly the decomposition just accelerates like crazy. Years of slow decay turn into minutes of intense destructive burning. What's actually happening there?
That's a brilliant example. And yes, absolutely. The lightning strike is a perfect, if rather extreme, demonstration of how we can fundamentally alter the reaction rate without changing the underlying thermodynamics.
Okay, so the favorability stays the same.
Exactly. What the lightning provides is an immense, localized burst of energy, just a huge amount of heat and electrical energy.
Right.
This massive energy input dramatically increases the kinetic energy of the molecules in the tree. They start moving way faster, vibrating more intensely.
Okay, more bouncing around.
Loads more. So they collide much more frequently, and crucially, a much, much greater proportion of those collisions now happen with enough force to overcome that activation energy barrier.
So you're just giving everyone the oomph needed.
You're effectively giving pretty much all those molecules the colossal oomph they need all at once, pushing them right over that hill.
Gotcha.
But, and this is vital to remember, the reaction's thermodynamics, whether it's favorable or not, it's LUZ that stays exactly the same, fire or no fire.
Still wants to happen.
Still wants to happen. The tree's molecules still want to break down into simpler, lower energy things like carbon dioxide and water. That's the favorable path. The only difference is the rate, how fast it proceeds. The lowest possible energy state for the products hasn't changed. You're just getting there vastly, spectacularly faster. And this principle isn't just about lightning, obviously. Think about striking a match or igniting natural gas in your stove.
Right. They need that initial spark.
Both are thermodynamically favorable reactions. They want to release energy, but they need that initial spark, that bit of friction or heat, to overcome their activation energy and kick off the rapid reaction.
That's a really powerful demonstration of how we can overcome that barrier.
Yeah.
Well, dramatically. But okay, our bodies, they're constantly doing countless chemical reactions, right? Millions every second.
Constantly.
Many of them are basically burning fuel for energy. And thankfully, we don't have lightning bolts zapping us all the time to get those reactions going.
No, that would be problematic.
Definitely. So how do living cells manage this incredibly complex but controlled burn? How do they extract the energy they need without, well, instantly bursting into flames? There must be a much smarter way.
This is truly where biological systems show their incredible sophistication, their efficiency. Living cells don't use brute force methods like lightning. Instead, they allow oxidation, that burning you mentioned, to proceed in lots of small, carefully managed stepwise reactions.
Little steps instead of one big leap.
Exactly. And this stepwise approach is absolutely essential because it allows the cell to harvest small, usable packets of the released energy at each stage.
Capture the energy.
Storing it in molecules like ATP, you might have heard of it, rather than losing all that energy as uncontrolled, destructive heat like the lightning strike.
Which would be bad.
Very bad. If our bodies tried to release all the energy from, say, a glucose molecule all at once, it would be catastrophic. It would basically incinerate the cell.
Yikes.
And in fact, it's interesting, even in these complex cellular energy pathways, only about 5% or so of the total released energy is typically harvested and stored.
Only 5%.
Roughly. The rest is still lost as heat.
Yeah.
That's actually why we're warm-blooded. It's the inefficiency, in a way.
Huh? Never thought of it like that.
Yeah.
So what's the key to this control, this stepwise process?
Protein enzymes. These remarkable, highly specialized molecules are absolutely central to pretty much every aspect of cell metabolism.
Enzymes. Okay, I've heard of those. They help digestion, right?
They do, but they do vastly more than that. They're involved everywhere. And if we connect this back to the bigger picture, enzymes don't change the thermodynamics.
Right. They don't change the I job.
Exactly. They
Yeah.
don't alter whether a reaction is favorable or unfavorable. They don't change the ultimate energy state of the products. What they do with incredible precision is they lower the activation energy barriers.
They make the hill smaller.
They effectively make the hill smaller, yes. They lower the barrier that blocks chemical reactions.
How do they do that?
Well, enzymes act like these highly specialized molecular engineers, or maybe tiny little machines. Each enzyme has a uniquely shaped region called the active site.
The active site.
It's like a specific pocket or groove that perfectly cradles the reactant molecules, we call them substrates, when enzymes are involved. Sometimes the enzyme actually strains the substrate's existing bonds, or just brings multiple substrates together in exactly the right geometry for them to react.
So it's not just holding them, it's kind of preparing them.
Precisely. It's not just about holding them in place, it's about making that critical hit, that transition state, much, much easier to achieve by reducing the energy required to get there.
Wow.
They effectively lower the height of that energy hill, making it possible for these vital reactions to proceed rapidly and efficiently, even at the relatively low, stable temperatures inside our bodies.
Which is crucial.
Absolutely crucial. Without enzymes, most of our essential biological reactions would be so incredibly slow, they'd be practically non-existent. Life as we know it simply wouldn't be possible.
That's genuinely astounding when you think about it, the sheer elegance and efficiency. So, okay, what does all this really mean for us, thinking back? We started asking why that favorable reaction, the decay of a fallen tree, takes such an eternity.
Right, the slow giant.
And we've discovered that the critical difference between a reaction that can happen thermodynamically and one that will happen quickly, it all comes down to that invisible molecular hurdle, activation energy.
The speed bump.
The secret speed limit of the universe, basically.
Yeah.
And it governs everything from a nail slowly rusting away to the incredibly rapid processes happening inside our own cells right now.
It's everywhere.
And the ingenuity of living systems to not just deal with this speed limit, but to actually control their own burn by using enzymes to precisely lower those energy barriers.
Yeah. tailoring the speed limit.
Orchestrating just countless reactions in this controlled energy harvesting way. It's truly a marvel. It really transforms a potentially destructive chemical process into the very engine of life.
It really does.
It definitely makes you look at that old decaying tree a little differently, doesn't it?
It absolutely should. And this really does raise an important question, I think, for all of us to ponder. When you observe any process out there in the world, whether it's the incredibly slow geological transformation of rock over millions of years, or, the rapid digestion of your lunch,
Mhm.
or even scientists working on new industrial catalysts, try to consider not just if it's energetically favorable, does it want to happen, but also what invisible activation energy barrier might be at play.
What's slowing it down?
Exactly. What's stopping it from happening instantaneously? And how might nature, or maybe technology, be working to overcome that specific barrier? What other seemingly slow, inevitable processes around you, maybe even in your own projects or life goals, might be secretly battling a high activation energy, just waiting for that molecular nudge, or perhaps a clever enzyme-like solution to really get them going?